Hello, you guys, and welcome back to Hot Girls Eat Carbs. I'm your host, Brittany McChrystal, and I am so glad you're here. Whether you're out on a walk, cleaning your kitchen, driving to work, or just lying in bed thinking about your life, this is your cozy corner of the internet where we chat all things health, wellness, and sustainable weight loss. So, before we get into today's episode, if you love this podcast, it would mean the world if you could share it with a friend or if you popped it on your story and tagged me. It genuinely helps more girls find this space and feel less alone in their journey. And it is how this podcast grows. So I just wanted to give you a little weekly recap because this week has been the nicest week ever. Honestly, Melbourne is showing off right now. The sun is out, it's warm, it actually feels like summer. It's finally feeling like summer is doing what it's supposed to do. I have been soaking it up, walking, sitting in the sun, romanticizing my life a little bit. It's just been really, really nice. I do feel like this week is kind of blurred into one though. You know, where every single day just rolls into the next and you're like, what did I even do this week? If you guys don't know, I am a Christian and this year I've decided to properly commit to fasting for Lent. I'm not fasting from food. Instead, I'm fasting from my phone for the first hour every morning for the next 40 days. And if you know me, you know this is actually a really big deal because my entire job is online. And the first thing I usually do when I wake up is actually grab my phone. I check Instagram, I check emails, I check messages. And sometimes it can actually completely consume my morning before I've even had a second to think. And sometimes, to be honest, I'm not even out of bed and I'm sitting there and it's been an hour because I'm just checking all my notifications. So being honest, for the first hour of my day now, there is no phones. So when I've been waking up, I start my day with prayer, I sit with my thoughts and I also journal. And then I go for a walk straight away. And on that walk, I listen to a Christian podcast. I actually love listening to faith-based podcasts in the morning because they just center you. And they also remind you of what actually matters. And it fully calms my nervous system for the day before everything gets super loud. It's only been a short time, but I really do feel the difference. And my mornings just feel so much better, way more intentional and less reactive. It feels like I'm choosing the day instead of the day choosing me. So I've also been meal prepping before I go away for Josh. I'm going to Thailand for a few weeks and I'm slightly nervous because I'm not quite sure how he's going to survive off cooking for himself. I think he's going to spend a lot of time at his mom's house. That's just between me and you. But I have started cooking extra portions and freezing the meals for him already. I'm trying to be organized so it's not chaotic the week before I leave. Very girlfriend of the year behavior if you ask me. Anyway, that is my little life update. I hope that you are feeling good. I hope that you're taking care of yourself. And I hope wherever you are right now, you are having a little moment to breathe. So let's get into today's episode. Today, we are talking about something that actually used to control my entire life, and I know that a lot of people struggle with it, and that is the binge-restrict cycle, food noise, trying to be good, falling off track, and starting again on Monday. For years, that was literally my personality. I kid you not. And I truly believed that I just didn't have enough discipline. I truly believed that I just wasn't like cut out to do it. I would wake up so motivated. I'd be like, today is the day. I'm cutting the carbs. I'm eating clean. I'm tracking perfectly and I'm not slipping up. Breakfast would literally be so tiny. Lunch would be something super safe like a chicken salad. And dinner would be very, very controlled. And I would be tracking absolutely everything. And all day I would be feeling super proud of myself because I felt like I was like accomplishing something. But underneath that pride, it was actually obsession. And I was thinking about food constantly, like all the time. What I could eat, what I couldn't eat, how many calories I had left, whether I deserved something sweet. The constant mental chatter is what I know now to be food noise, which a lot of people also know is food noise. And food noise is when your brain never switches off around food. It's eating lunch while thinking about dinner. It's pretending you don't care about dessert, but replaying it in your head. And it's negotiating with yourself all day. And then eventually something would snap. It could be something small. It could be a biscuit. It could be a stressful day. It could be being tired. And I'd think, well, I've ruined it now. So I guess I'm just going to eat more and more and more. And healing your relationship with food, it didn't start with a meal plan for me. It started with being aware. I actually had to realize that food wasn't the problem. It was the way that I was thinking about food that was the issue. I had built this entire moral system around eating. Some foods made me feel good, and some foods made me feel bad. And every time I ate something off plan, I felt like a personality flaw. So healing meant stripping all of that back. It meant allowing food without having to earn it. It meant eating without planning how I would compensate later. And it meant not turning to one biscuit and then ending up in a 3-day spiral. I had to stop treating food like a test I was constantly failing. When food became neutral again, not a reward and not punishment, it's like so funny because everything became easier, which, like, logically, yeah, of course. So the biggest shift for me, and I really, really mean this, was actually just simply eating enough food. I feel like when I say this back, it sounds so obvious, right? But I didn't stop binging because I had developed more discipline. I stopped binging because I stopped under eating. For so long, I genuinely believed the answer was eating less. Smaller breakfast, lighter lunch, saving calories for later, being scared of carbs, choosing the lowest calorie option, even if I didn't actually want it. And then I'd sit there at night wondering why I suddenly felt out of control and I could not control myself around food. Your body is not being dramatic, it's actually just being protective. If you don't feed it properly, it will push back. Not because you are doing something wrong, not because you're weak, but because it's wired to keep you alive. When I started building proper meals, I mean like proper meals, not tiny diet portions with enough protein, carbs, fats, something shifted. When I allowed myself to actually be full instead of slightly hungry all day, the urgency around food actually disappeared. That panicked, I need this right now, it actually faded. And the part that actually surprised me the most was eating enough also meant including the foods that I loved. Because for years I would eat the healthy version of everything, but I would still actually crave the real thing. I'd have a lower calorie dessert, but I'd still think about chocolate. I'd eat salad, but I would still really want the pasta. And when you constantly deny yourself of what you actually want, those foods become elevated in your mind because they feel forbidden, special, and powerful. And anything that feels forbidden becomes urgent. So I intentionally started including the foods that I loved in my week, not in a chaotic, I'm going to have it all at once, but in a normal, calm, this is kind of just food way. If I wanted chocolate, I let myself have it. If I wanted pasta, I'd build it into a balanced meal. If I went out for lunch, I ate what I actually felt like. Because when you know you can have something again tomorrow, you actually don't feel the need to eat it all today. That is the real shift. It's so funny because I've got a perfect example of chocolate in the fridge, right? I don't know if anybody else keeps chocolate in the fridge. I do because I think it just tastes way nicer. But I was never able to control myself around a chocolate bar. I would buy a family block of chocolate, I'd keep it in the pantry, and it would be gone within a day. I'm pretty sure I've had this whole block of chocolate in the fridge for about a month. I think it's half finished because I've let myself have these foods. I've allowed myself to have these foods. I'm going on a bit of a rant now, right now, and I'm sure some of you have actually heard this story before. But when I was deep in my obsession over food era and I cut everything out, yes, I lost weight very quickly. And I actually got to the smallest I've ever been. But it's so funny because I was actually the most unhealthiest I've ever been and the most unhappiest I've ever been. And then I had a trip planned to Europe and I was like, cool, after my diet, I've worked so hard. I'm going to go to Europe and I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to let myself have all of the food I want. I've been restricting myself for so many weeks that my body completely lost control, my mind lost control, and my body went into panic mode when I went overseas. I basically ate everything under the sun. Absolutely everything. I would go for buffet breakfast. I would have 3 portions and I would still be hungry. There was one night where we went and got gelato. I had 3 different gelatos on the way home because I was so hungry. My body went into this like fight or flight mode where it was like full panic. I ended up by the end of the trip not fitting any of my clothes that I had brought that trip. I had to go to Zara and buy bigger clothes because they weren't fitting me. Not only that, mentally I felt like I had failed. I felt like I'd let myself down. I felt like I had let everybody around me down because I had just worked so hard and I gained 7 kilos over that space of 3 weeks back, which was actually more than I had lost anyway. But it just shows that restriction is not the way. I then healed from that. I started again and I did it in a way that was sustainable, and that is the shift. Because restriction, it creates obsession. Permission, it creates being neutral. When I stopped trying to outsmart my cravings and instead I fed my body constantly, including the foods I enjoyed, my body relaxed and my brain got quieter. Food noise reduced and nothing felt scary or scarce anymore. Eating enough isn't just about calories. It's about consistency, it's about satisfaction, and it's about removing the drama. And yes, it felt scary at first. If you've ever lived in restriction, fullness can feel uncomfortable. Permission can also feel dangerous. It kind of feels so backwards, but it feels like you're doing something wrong. But on the other side of that discomfort is stability. Eating enough created more control, not less. So funny, right? More peace, not chaos. And that is when everything started to change. And one of the most powerful questions I asked myself was not what should I eat, but how do I want to feel? This question started changing everything for me because when you focus on how you want to feel, energized, strong, satisfied, and clear headed, you naturally make different choices, not restrictive choices, supportive choices. I stopped choosing food based on rules and I started choosing food based on how it would support my body. That is what intuitive eating is for me. It's not ignoring nutrition, it's not chaos, but awareness and turning into hunger, noticing fullness, paying attention to your digestion. Realize when I was eating out of stress instead of hunger. It wasn't about being perfect, it was just all about being connected. When you start listening to your body instead of fighting it, the food stops feeling like the enemy and it starts feeling like fuel again. So, these are your action steps. First, I want you to build your lifestyle around what you can repeat. Not what looks impressive and not what someone else is doing, but what you can sustain on a random Wednesday when you were tired. If you can't imagine doing it in 6 months, it's not a lifestyle, it's a phase. That means workouts you don't dread, meals you actually enjoy, and a routine that fits your real life, not your fantasy life. Second, I want you to eat in a way that supports you, not punishes you. Balanced meals, protein, carbs, fat, enough food, no tiny portions pretending that you are satisfied. Include the foods that you love regularly so they don't feel forbidden. When nothing is off limits, nothing has power over you. A balanced lifestyle includes chocolate. It includes dinner out. It includes birthdays. The goal isn't control, it's all about consistency. Third, I want you to move your body in a way that feels empowering. Exercise shouldn't feel like punishment for what you ate. It should feel like something you were doing for your body. Strength training to feel strong. Walking for your mental health. A class you genuinely enjoy. There is nothing better than putting on a really nice podcast and going for a walk, just letting everything else go and just like fully being in tune. I love this. I used to walk because I needed to get my 10,000 steps. I actually got rid of my watch because I was like, I'm not letting my steps control me anymore. You do not need to train 6 days a week also to be healthy. You need to train in a way that you can stick to without burning out. Fourth, regulate your nervous system. This is such an underrated piece. If when your life is a constant stress, rushing, poor sleep, high cortisol, your body will feel chaotic. And when your body feels chaotic, your habits will be chaotic. Slow mornings, walks outside, proper sleep, eating sitting down, not scrolling the second you wake up. Balance isn't about food and workouts. It's about how calm your body feels throughout the day. Fifth, I want you to drop the all or nothing mindset. You are not either on track or off track. You are just living. If you miss a workout, you go the next day. If you overeat, you eat normally at your next meal. No drama, just restart. A balanced lifestyle is built in the in between, not in the perfect weeks. And lastly, make your health about how you feel, not just about how you look. When you focus on energy, strength, confidence, digestion, mood, you make better choices naturally. When it is only about being smaller, everything feels urgent and restrictive. Balance is choosing habits that make you feel grounded and strong, not anxious and not controlled. It's about less intensity and more about rhythm. And the women who glow long term are not the ones doing the most. They are the ones doing enough constantly without self sabotage. And that is what I really want you to take away from today's episode. Healing a relationship with food isn't about becoming the most disciplined version of yourself. It is about becoming the most stable version of yourself. It's about eating enough. It's about including the foods that you love. It's about choosing meals based on how you want to feel, not how little you can get away with. It is about building a lifestyle so you don't need to escape from every weekend. You need consistency, you need nourishment, and you need a calm nervous system. And I promise you, the version of you who feels peaceful around food is far more powerful than the version of you who is constantly trying to control it. If you are in the binge restrict cycle right now, please know that this is not a character flaw. It is usually just a sign that your body has been living in restriction for too long. And your body is not your enemy. It is trying to protect you. When you start feeding it constantly, you stop labeling food good or bad. And when you stop punishing yourself for being human, things start to soften. I know it might not be dramatic and it is not instant, but it will be steady. And steady is what changes your life. Slowly is the fastest way to get to where you want to be. So, if this episode resonated with you, share it with somebody who needs to hear it. Tag me on my story. So, tag me on your story so I can see you listening in. I love seeing where you girls are tuning in for. And if you want support navigating this while you're still working toward your body goals in a sustainable way, my one-on-one coaching is always linked below. This is exactly what we focus on. No extremes, no cutting carbs, no chaos, just building something that lasts. I'm really proud of you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that you do like the video. This is new for me. So if you guys have any suggestions for me, please also, I'm always open to those in the comments. So I know this topic can feel vulnerable, but even listening to this means that you are wanting to be better for yourself, and that is growth. I will see you in the next episode.